What's up, guys? Hans Johnson here, and hopefully this is coming through well. This is the fourth video that I've done, and I'd like to welcome those of you that are catching this for the first time. Gonna try and throw some stuff on the whiteboard here today. If you haven't caught the 3 prior videos, I would highly recommend that you pick those up. We've been doing a live broadcast about every week that I am now officially calling the Corona Crisis Survival Guide series. And we've left those videos up on this page. They're also on our YouTube page. So you can pass those along to people that friends, family, anybody that you want to hear some of this information that we've been talking about. We'll do a little bit of a recap here today on some of the concepts and things we've been talking about. Hopefully you are in good health, and we pray that that is the case for you and your family and your loved ones. Our nation, and in fact our world, is in a great time of testing right now. And I've had a lot to say about it, and if you've watched the prior videos, then you can pick up on that. There's a lot of people that have a lot to say about it out there, but the common theme that we've been putting out there, and the thesis and or the core concept that I've been trying to get across, and this is part of our True Wealth Formula program. It's part of the mindset, is that nobody's going to do for you what you're not willing to do for yourself. And this is a brutally hard truth pill to swallow. It's not fun to swallow that pill. And it might be more important than ever in today's day and age to be willing to entertain that thought, and instead of dismissing it, to actually step back a little bit and look at the patterns that are going on, look at the sequences, look at the information that you're getting and that you're being fed from every Tom, Dick, and Harry across the planet, every expert that's out there, and ask yourself, is there a Calvary that's coming to save you in all actuality? I know there's government programs, there's information, there's advice, but at the end of the day, nobody's going to do for you what you are not willing to do for yourself. And so we might hit on that theme a little bit here today. But I definitely hope that you are taking care of yourself, that you're doing whatever it is, health program, whatever. Common themes, sunshine or vitamin D supplementation helps keep the immune system strong. There is a correlation, although their data is all across the board. And again, you can listen to the prior videos that I've done regarding data and how much we can actually rely on any information. And just for those of you that maybe haven't hit those videos, just think about this pattern, right? Like the experts, they keep changing their story every single week. Literally every time there's a briefing or every time you get a news feed or a headline, the story keeps changing, right? From all the way from the WHO to the CDC to the federal government to the Federal Reserve. These are the experts that are running our country, running our planet, telling you what you have to do in your home and your family and your business, and they can't keep their story straight. Again, I've had a lot to say about that in the prior videos, and I don't know if it'll be possible for me to get through this video without touching on that a little bit, because those are some extreme statements, and if you don't have context or you don't understand why I come from that angle and that perspective, then it can be a little bit disorienting. So what I want to do today is, I don't want to spend as much time on the virus situation. It's constantly changing. Hopefully, my prayer is that some of these brave doctors who still have independent thinking and are testing different therapies, there's been several out there that have done it, that they will be allowed, and that these places will be allowed to think for themselves and to test and to administer therapies either preemptively or what have you, because being ruled by a top-down government organization, again, whether that's the WHO or the CDC or whatever, the pharmaceutical industrial complex, it's just I don't have a whole lot of hope for that. So, and I know a lot of people probably share that sentiment. So, So again, a lot of prayers out there to everybody and your families. Hopefully you're doing well. In my opinion has been, and my angle has been on this whole issue, is that there's a layering effect going on. And I guess today I'll talk a little bit about the economic impact. And there are some things I wanted to talk. I sent an email out and I said that I'm going to talk about the real secret to getting your money to work for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about True Wealth Formula. We do have a book that's coming out April 21st. It'll be available through Amazon, directly through Amazon. We're not building out any fancy, marketing funnel or anything like that. This book is something that I've been working on for many years, but it's actually a summarization of the True Wealth Formula, which is a process of managing money, but it's also a system to manage ourselves and our thinking. It's something that's been in effect for at least 2 decades. We have many clients that have benefited from that. If you're hitting this video for the first time, you're going to want to go to truewealthformula.com and get on that mailing list there. Make sure you're on that list so that you can get updates when the book becomes available. If you want to get signed up, if you've listened to prior videos or you want to we do have an implementation program that actually teaches you step by step how to manage your money, how to get your money working for you instead of you working for your money, which is the key to wealth. That implementation program, people are going through it step by step. It's videos. It's the whole deal. You can get that information at truewealthformula.com/special offer. If you are in a situation right now where you have an income problem or a job problem or a revenue problem, and you do not have, and you're in that type of a situation, my wife and I founded a company many years ago, operates under DannyJohnson.com, and you can go there, and I would recommend that you get involved in what's going on there so that you can get help with growing your business, growing your sales, growing your income, your earned income, as well as building healthy relationships. If you're in a situation where you can give and help others, there's a lot of people in need right now. KingsRansomFoundation.org or KingsRansom.org is what we would recommend there. I've talked about it on other videos. So the number one key to wealth is to get your money working for you instead of you working for your money. So setting aside this virus, this thing that our government and our officials and the powers that be and the elites and all of these insiders are telling you every single day, oh my God, we had no idea this was going to be so bad. One day they tell you that, the next day they're telling you, oh, our models were wrong, right? And you have everything under the sun, everybody out there trying to figure out what happened, who's to blame, whose fault is it, what's real, what's not real. And I've hammered away at this on the prior videos, and I would recommend you get in that and you listen to that. And just as my standard disclosure, I'm a private individual, I'm a private business owner, and I'm a private investor. I am not a certified investment advisor or what I call a certified financial product salesperson. What I do is I work with people and I share with them systems that I use personally to manage money. Okay? I grew up on the streets in Hawaii, on welfare, food stamps. I started my first business at 8 years old. Surviving, I learned really young, if I didn't work, I didn't eat. And so at 8 years old, I started a business where I was selling flowered leis, necklaces, they're called leis in Hawaiian, to tourists to be able to get food for, money for food, for school clothes, school supplies. And every once in a while, a little extra spending money. As a little kid, I used to go down to the local arcade called the Fun Factory, and I'd play some video games. Right? That was my world starting off growing up. I've talked about it before, but started so 8 years old, started my first business. met my wife Danny at 18 years old. We got into business together, became business partners, built, successful businesses over the years. We've given millions and millions and millions to abused women, orphans, people in need, people who physically are not able to work. Because if you have the mind and the physical body to be able to work, you have a gift from the Creator, and that gift is to be used. What you don't use, you lose. Okay, and so His government system is about helping those that physically or mentally are not capable of working themselves, and we have a real problem in our country right now. Because we have a huge movement towards just making money out of thin air and spreading it around. So what I say here is just my opinion. Take it for whatever the hell you want to take it for. But just know that it's not from, we live in a day and age where any yahoo can just pop open a camera and start yakking away. I'm going to share with you concepts and ideas and thoughts and opinions that have been stress tested in multiple different scenarios and circumstances over a period of time and years. Okay, and I'm a firm believer that you really don't know if your great idea or your business or your investment methodology or your life philosophy, you don't know if it works or how well it really works if it's not stress tested. That's where we get to really find out. As far as this whole coronavirus thing, I started picking up on that back in December. Started letting family and close friends and family and close clients know in January. Did some public announcements to clients and others in February. And so this kind of ties back to what I was saying earlier about this information that you're being given where officially you're being told and fed that, we just didn't know, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm telling you that there is no way that the powers that be in our countries didn't know what was going on. And you can take that for whatever it's worth. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what are you going to do? And I talked about this on the last video. The last video I talked a lot about the difference between risk management and the need to be right. And we live in a day and age where we have this desire and this need to be right. We got to be right. I want to be right. And I'm the same way. I'm that way. You're that way. This is how our mind works. And in today's world, in the world we're in the year 2020, we cannot go through this world with that type of a philosophy. And whether it's investing or how we build our business or how we manage our health, we can't. And again, I covered this in the last video. You can go through that. These videos are free stuff that we're doing just to get out there to the community and try to help people and try to, help you get to a better spot. But there's too much information in the world today. It's information. It's an information clusterfest. And there is no way, unless you personally are on the originating side of the transaction, and if you have an accounting background, specifically, I was involved in a project for many, many years, and it was for more or less a forensic accounting project. And it was an incredible experience for me because and that's not my background. I didn't, I was like, I'm a entrepreneur, salesperson, marketing guy, product development guy, CEO. I was a CEO for a multi-million-dollar company for many years. And I avoided CPAs and those kind of people. I was like, those are the people you let them figure all that kind of stuff out. So I find myself in this project and I came to realize, I said, holy smokes, there's no such thing there unless you are on the originating side of the transaction. There is no validating anything. There is just trusting that source and trusting all of the data entry along the way, all of the people that put things in and classified it one way versus another. So I want you to think about this when you think about the massive amount of information you're getting in your life every single day. It doesn't matter if it's health, business, and you have a million experts now, right? Again, and a lot of them have never never survived an economic crash or a bear market or a downturn, right? There are people right now, big names, right? That after this crash, you're never going to see them again. And this event is, in my strong opinion, we're only at the very beginning of this event. We are not even close to the end of this event. And if you wonder if that's true or not, all you have to do is look at the pattern, folks. You just have to look at the pattern of information that you're being told. 4 weeks ago, you were told this is just the flu. It's not any different than the flu. Don't worry about it. Then you were told, hey, you're gonna have to go into a self-isolation, social distancing, self-quarantine for 2 weeks. Then you were told it's gonna be a month. Now you're being told, oh, it's probably gonna be, right? So then you were told, oh, it's April, right? But then in the middle of that, you're being told, oh, our data models are wrong and this and that. So it doesn't matter across the board. It could be your health, right? It could be your financial information, right? It could be investing. It could be, business, whatever. There's no end to the amount of opinions. There's no end to the amount of information. It could be stats that you can see. It could be models. It could be all this kind of stuff. So we live in a day and age today where if your philosophy, if your life philosophy, and you may not know this because this is just how our brain works, and it's also how we were programmed to train since we were little kids in school. Teacher asks a question, I got the answer, pick me. Oh, what's the answer? Little Joe. Oh, it's X, Oh, good job, yay. Yeah, I got that answer right. So we've been programmed since we were very young to always try to be right, to always try to figure out the answer, okay? And what I'm saying, and this is a business philosophy, this is a life mindset, and this is an investment mindset, and this is core to True Wealth Formula, is that in today's day and age, that those who will survive and thrive this crisis and come out on the other side. Now, we're not talking about guarantees here. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees in life. There's no certainty in life. There's no such thing as you're going to get in your car today and you have 100% guarantee that you're going to get to your destination. There's only an assumption. And we talk in True Wealth Formula a lot about the difference between real risk and perceived risk. So there's just an assumption that you will get in that car and you will get to your destination. But there's no guarantees. Okay? So there's no guarantees in anything. But in today's day and age of massive information overload, number one. Number two, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is a self-proclaimed expert, and whether they have any personal track record or results or anything doesn't matter. It's just plop open a camera and start yakking away. Okay, you look at people on TV. These are script reading, makeup people. Okay, the political side, craziness, right? These guys aren't on the front end of financial stuff, right? So any Tom, Dick, and Harry can pop open a video, start talking. You don't know what their track record is, right? And so you have massive information overload. You have experts, quote, all over the place, right? And the information is almost impossible to validate. Almost impossible. So what do? If everything is based on I need to figure out the answer so I can be right, life is going to continue to get more and more difficult. And we talk about this in our investing side of things, that the difference between an amateur investor and a professional. Amateurs focus on gains. Professionals focus on risk management. So the difference with the risk management side and that in its most simple, in its simplest form is the difference is not how do I be right. The difference is, what if I'm wrong? What is the cost if I'm wrong? And that's a very different way to approach things. Very different angle. And what it does is it changes everything. It changes how you manage money. It changes how you make investment decisions. It changes the kind of decisions you're making today for your business during this crisis. It changes how much you put into the information that you're getting out there. And so hopefully if you've listened to the prior videos and if you've plugged into this page, or if you're one of our clients, I hope you become one of our clients. I hope you at least pick up the book when it comes out. if nothing else, what I try to do is I try to back up, and instead of losing our minds staring at all the details, I try to back up and I say, okay, what is the abstract concept here? Is there a concept or a principle or a strategy that we can use, right? That we can now actually filter this massive amounts of data through and still position ourselves to win, to succeed, right? And so that's a little bit of a background, but so I want to say so a couple things I want to do. I want to talk to you. I want to share with you. I'm going to share with you in a moment a formula that I use personally to manage money. Okay, and it took me many years to discover this, and it was a total download, and it's part of our True Wealth Formula system. And then I want to share with you what I think personally, what I believe is going to be the biggest opportunity coming out of this crisis. So a little bit to lay the foundation on that. If you are hurting right now, and I said this in the last video, and this is one of the hardest things for me to say and harder for you to hear. And I have to say this because there's only one question that matters right now for you and for me and for all of us. And the only question or the only answer is, what am I going to do with this situation to become a different person on the other side of it? Yes, I have to watch my health. I need to try to keep my immune system strong. I need to cut down on the sugar that I'm eating. I need to wash my hands more often. I need to social distance. I need to wear a mask. I need to not touch my face, right? I need to have my hand sanitizer. I need to make sure that I don't run out of freaking toilet paper. Okay? But what? Because we can only become what our environment is. Okay? And you have an opportunity right now because of what's going on in this environment. So what I mean by that is that the human mind will always expand or contract to its environment. 100% all the time. So if you're coming off of, and this is you're gonna hate me for saying this, you know, you're either gonna hate me or you're gonna love me, and that's the way I like to work with people. Okay, if you are coming off, we're literally 45 days out. Okay, the end of February was when this thing finally started, you know, hitting in the United States, and the stock market crashed and all this stuff going on. And it's the beginning of April right now. So you're literally a month and a half away from the longest running bull market in history and from an economy that was the strongest economy in 50 years. 45 days ago, that's where it was. And this is a terrible, because I know there's people hurting right now. There's layoffs that has happened. There's businesses that have crashed, right? There's all this stuff that's going on. So I'm not making light of any of that. This is serious. And in my opinion, the economic and the what we call third order effects to this thing this virus is serious. Okay? But the economic and it's time for us to be thinking about what's next. Okay? If you're 45 days away from the longest running bull market in history and the strongest economy in 50 years, and you are already suffering financially, you have to take a step back and you have to ask yourself, what the hell have you been doing? What is up with my system? My thinking, my habits, that just 45 days ago, strongest economy in 50 years, 50-year long strongest economy, lowest unemployment rate, low interest, everything's favorable, longest running, you're talking about an 11-year bull market. stocks, real estate, whatever. Okay? You have to step back because you cannot say, I am hurting right now because of the coronavirus. I am hurting right now financially because the government shut down my business. I'm not saying those aren't real things that happen. I have friends. We have business stuff that we're reshuffling and tweaking, cutting costs, cutting overheads, making some very difficult decisions. But if I'm sitting here 45 days off and all of a sudden my whole world crashed, I have to ask you. And this is the part where I expect to lose a few people on this video right now. I expect to have a few people check out. I expect to get some bad comments. I expect to have a few of you go, screw you, man. You don't know what I'm going through right now. You know what? Bullshit. Because you don't know the kind of crap I've been through. You don't know the kind of crap my wife and I have been through. You don't know the kind of crap, the stuff that we have had to survive, the crises that we have dug ourselves out of. Nobody in this life is immune from problems, challenges, chaos, crisis. Health, physical health, mental health, family crisis and chaos and problems and challenges, business crisis and chaos and challenges, economic, making a bad decision economically, or having a bad business partner that steals from you, or being defrauded, or putting money with a trusted advisor who misallocates that money and puts it in the wrong thing and tells you some story, and then later on you find out it was something totally different. So the only difference is, what are you going to do coming out of this situation? Well, Hans, I don't know. I hope it's over in 2 weeks. My friend, it's not going to be over in 2 weeks. It's just not. Well, if it's over in 2 or 4 weeks, or if I can get one of those government loans or whatever, what I'm saying is that you have an opportunity right now for you and your family to make some radical changes in how you think, how you interface with the world, how you manage money, how you make investment decisions. And you can either let this crisis and this situation, you can continue to be on the tail end of it as it whips around like this and be the victim of the situation. Okay? Or you can say, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like that I'm in this situation right now. Okay? I'm not talking about the things you can't control. If you get sick or you get ran over by a car, or something happens, life has never been in the history of humankind, throughout all of history, life has never been always stable, always a guarantee, always certainty. It's never been that way. There have always been random pandemonium, chaos, raping and pillaging, like throughout all of history. And we're in a bad place right now because we've had it so good for so long that we are mentally and physically soft and weak. So there's an opportunity right now to say, okay, boom, I am not going to let this opportunity go by. And I'm going to learn something, and I'm going to come out of this thing totally different. To the extent I have control over the things I have control over, which is my mind, my thoughts, my will, my emotion, how I spend my time each day, how and what I do with money, right? Decisions I make, how I treat people. So right now, what's it going to be? What side of the deal you want to be on? You have an opportunity right now. And what I'm going to present to you right now, today, are some concepts, some principles. Because there is a difference, and it took me many, many years, and I'm still on my personal journey of learning and discovering and trial and error and stress testing. Because we have a concept and a philosophy here, what I call a master strategy. And we use systems to test this strategy in different circumstances and environments. And I will tell you personally, this strategy has kicked ass during this crisis and this situation that's going on right now. So what I'll tell you is that there is a big difference between the way that the wealthy think and the way that they manage money and the way that everybody else does. There is a difference between what you and I were taught in school, the way we were programmed to be debt slaves, programmed by a system to keep us debt slaves. All the financial books that are out there, all the stuff that's just massive information overload. So for me, what I did was I was like, okay, something's not adding up. And I talked about this in the last video. I have a lame disease where if stuff doesn't add up, I'm like, okay, something's not right. And it's terrible because I start asking more questions and doing more research and I pray and I'm like, what's going on here? So this is a concept that I'm going to share some concepts with you today, and you get to decide whether you want to say, okay, I'm going to buy into this, or whether you're just going to say, oh, that was some good information, right? So most people, I don't know how this will turn out here, if it's visible or not, but this is an iceberg right here. Just pretend it's an iceberg, and at the tip of the iceberg, so you have the tip that's above water, and if you know this, then you know this analogy, right? That 90% of the iceberg is underwater. It's what you don't see, right? So what you see, and my wife Danny and I were in Antarctica about a year and a half ago, and it was amazing. Most incredible place in the world. It was like being on another planet. Absolutely incredible. Took us 2 days to get there from the tip of South America through the Drake Passage. And we went down and it was nice and smooth. And on the way back, it's called the Drake Shake. I mean, we had like 25, 30, 35 foot swells, a freaking piano. They have a piano in the dining room. It was like a small ship with about 100 people max. The piano freaking flipped. And the piano was bolted to the floor. And it broke the bolts because it hit something and went boom, and flipped upside down. But Antarctica is amazing, okay? And we saw a lot of icebergs in Antarctica. And in fact, that ship actually hit one. That was a little scary. So the common ratio is that 90%. So that what you do see with the iceberg, if you see a big iceberg, that thing's 90% bigger underwater. That 90% of the mass is what's underwater. It's what you don't see, and it's also what sank the Titanic. And I'm going to make an analogy for you right now between the masses and what I call wealth builders or elites or the wealthy, people that understand the value of systems and strategy over tactics. Okay? Most people, they just want the tactic. And in this case, what this is an investment tip. Investment tip. Okay? This is what most people want, and that's what you see out there. Right? You see an ad for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, or right now you're seeing ads for gold and silver. Oh, the gold to silver ratio is X and Y, and the stock market's on its way back up, or on and on and on. Okay? Investment tip. Every book you read, 99% of them, experts and gurus you see out there, you hear, newsletters you subscribe to, research services that give you lists of, oh, we think that you should buy Apple under, X amount, or you sell it at this, or trading services, real estate training programs, okay? On and on and on it goes. Investment tip. And the reason why you and I love this is because it feeds the mind with what the mind wants, which the mind and the program, and I talked a lot about this in the prior videos, the program, above all else, wants to be right. It wants to have the answer to the question. But here's the kicker. There's no end to the questions. What's better? Should I do a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA? Well, the IRS extended the tax season to June or July 15th or whatever. And should I do, what should I do? I've got, between now and then. There's no answer. There's no end to the questions. No end. And here's the other problem. If you get 10 different experts, you're going to get 10 different answers. I don't care if it's real estate, stock market, economics, medical, politicians, business people, going down the line. It never ends. It never ends. It just keeps going and going and going. And we keep feeding that system. You're feeding it, I'm feeding it. We're feeding that system. And our world and our system today is becoming top heavy of a bunch of empty suits that are good looking and they're good at reading scripts that somebody else wrote. They're good at analyzing the metrics, the reviews and the ratings and the engagements. But they have no connection. They're completely disconnected with reality. They've never built a business from the ground up themselves. They've never recovered from, whatever. And maybe they do back in their story way a long time ago, but now they just sit in front of a camera all day and they yakety, 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 yak. So most of us, we want this investment tip. And I was like that for years because I was a business owner and I was trying to, I was trusting other people. And I stepped back and I said, wait a second, there's got to be something different to this. There's too freaking much information up here. TM damn I, man. Too much damn information. Right? It just never ends. So what's below the surface is a wealth building system. Wealth building system. Most people, now this is what the elite focus on. And in many cases, they were trained from birth on that. You and I, we're focused on this up here. We just want somebody to tell me what to do. So what I was saying earlier is that, so what we've done with CWF is we said, okay, first you have to have concepts, because the concept teaches you how to think, how to filter information, make decisions, how to think. Then we need strategy. And then up here we have the tactics. The concepts and the strategy is what's below the water. You can think you have the right tactic, but if you don't understand the concepts and you don't have a master strategy, and we call True Wealth Formula a master wealth building strategy. If you don't have that, and you say, well, God, is now a good time to get in the stock market? And the expert tells you, yes, buy this. Well, is that expert there to tell you when to sell? Maybe, maybe not. And so what True Wealth Formula is for people, A, that are willing to accept the reality nobody will do for you what you are not willing to do for yourself. B, that want to get that master strategy in place and want to get this in place so that then you can plug in any investment tip, tactic on top of that, and you can specialize. And you can build a legacy for you and your family, and you can learn how to get money working for you instead of you working for your money. So, but most people, they don't want this. They don't want to learn this. They don't want to know it. And I don't know which kind of person you are. I know that I know who we all are inside and what that program is. That program is there to basically keep us dependent as debt slaves, dependent on a system that profits and makes money off of selling us tips, investment tips, and the whole time hiding the master strategy from us, keeping it, basically telling us this is what it is, this is the secret, this is what you need, do this, do that, do this, do that. Meanwhile, behind the curtain is the master strategy. And I was just like, I'm freaking sick of this. I'm sick of this. I don't want to be a part of that anymore. Right? So let me share with you. So hopefully that helped a few people. And, so like if you go back through some of the prior videos, if you start to pick up that there's concepts that I'm talking about, there's principles that I'm talking about, and you start to pick that up and you get that. Like the last couple of videos, I was talking about pattern recognition, and as I mentioned earlier, the difference between risk management and the concept of putting our whole life philosophy and our system on trying to be right versus what is the cost if I'm wrong, and weighing that cost and managing that risk. Okay. So I want to share with you another thing, and then after this, I'm going to basically tell you what I think is the best opportunity, what I believe is the best opportunity that's setting up right now in the markets. So one of the things, so we have this saying in TWF, and this was taught to me from my very first wealth mentor when I was a kid in Hawaii. He was a multimillionaire in real estate. And he taught me, he said that the key to wealth, the number one key to wealth is to get your money working for you instead of you working for your money. And I wrote that down at the time, and I marinated that and meditated over that over the years. But it was always more like a riddle to me. It was like, God, how do you actually do that? Sounds really good, but how do you do it? And one of the things that I'm pretty sure I shared in prior videos, and we talk a lot about it in our True Wealth Formula implementation program, which again, we have, if you want to sign up for that, you can do that at truewealthformula.com/special offer, and you can get registered, and you'll get access to our Wealth Builder app, where we have the training programs. We take you step by step. It's a training. It's an actual. It's a course and a module system where you start and you go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you work through videos and PDF worksheets and stuff that helps you unravel and unearth some of these programs that are deep in the mind. That module we call the Millionaire Mind module, and you learn this system that I was just talking about here, including the tracking systems, including the how to understand a balance sheet and how to manage the money. Okay. So again, that's at truewealthformula.com/special offer. So we use a number of different formulas. So I've mentioned this on prior videos, and this is a pattern, and I'm giving you this information as a pattern that has been identified and recognized over a long period of time through personal experience, through people that I know that are very, very successful, through research and trial and error. There are 3 common denominators that the wealthy focus on in how they manage money. Number 1 is they build a base of cash flow assets. Number 2, they use what we call non-discretionary rules-based systems. What does that mean? Non-discretionary means that I have a rule that I use to manage my money and to make decisions on what I do with my money and how I invest that, okay? And that rule determines what makes the decision, not how I feel. Not because I just got an email that got me excited, or I talked to a friend at a cocktail party and I go, oh, that's it. Right? So they use rules-based systems. Number 3, then they speculate strategically. In our program, we show you and we explain how to identify different types of assets. What's the difference between an investment and a speculation? Because if you don't know what that difference is, you can get yourself in a world of hurt and a world of trouble. So what I want to share with you right now is a formula that I use that took me years and years and years to discover. And this formula has saved our clients from having massive carnage during this economic cycle that's taking place right now. It has positioned some clients, some of us, to be able to capitalize and profit off of it. And it's a very simple formula. And this is a money management formula. This is how you manage. This is the money. I'm actually jumping. It's actually an advanced concept. It's very simple. It's not difficult to understand, but it is what we call a second layer formula. So there's actually a formula before this one. But this formula has to do with money. How do you manage your money? How do you manage your capital? Okay? And you say, well, Hans, why are you talking about this right now? Don't you know that there's people hurting right now? Businesses are suffering. Some of us are out of work. We're worried about even just being able to afford food and groceries. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make my rent payment, and on and on and on. Yes, we're talking about it now. Because I will tell you 1,000%, and I already made the point earlier, right? Your mind, my mind, our mind will expand or contract to whatever that environment is. I mean, what I'm going to tell you right now is that this corona crisis that's going on right now, in my opinion, is the absolute best opportunity that you have probably had in your life to get your financial crap together, to get your money game in place. Because you have an external environment, an external circumstance right now that is going to put pressure on you and going to force you to make difficult but important decisions that you would not make and you did not make while everything was booming and going crazy. So as I said earlier, you either get to make this, this is core TWF mindset, okay? How do I extract the maximum value out of this situation? If you're like me, you probably hate making mistakes. I freaking can't stand it. I hate it. It drives me crazy. And a long time ago, I said, okay, shoot, I freaking hate making mistakes, but there's only one thing I hate more than that, and it's freaking making the same mistake twice. Right? Just absolutely cannot stand that. So core TWF mindset is, all right, fine. If I make a mistake, I am going to make that mistake my slave for the rest of my life. And the only way I get to do that is if I extract maximum educational value out of that mistake. So, we're coming off of the longest bull market in history and the strongest economy in 50 years. And 45 days off of that, if you're not in a good position of strength financially right now, then you might be in a place where you say, okay, and I'm not saying there's not room for improvement. There is for all of us, right? But if you're not in a position of strength right now, then this is an opportunity to be able to extract maximum educational value out of the circumstances, out of the situation. And make a commitment to yourself and your family that you will not, so to the extent that you have capacity. None of us are perfect. None of us are immune to mistakes. And none of us can know what tomorrow holds for us. We don't have control over any of that. But to the extent that you do have free will and you have the ability to choose right or left, A or B, to the extent that you have capacity, you have an opportunity right now to make a commitment to yourself and your family that you will not continue in the ways that you've been continuing, that you will learn something different, and that you will apply something different. You say, man, you're being an asshole, Hans. You're being really hardcore. This isn't the time to do that. No, this is exactly the time to do that. This is exactly the time to do that because we're on the front end of this, guys. This is the exactly the time to basically have somebody in our life who doesn't just pick us up and give us a kiss and a hug. Yes, we all need that sometimes. But you know what else we need? We need somebody else to be able to stand, okay, let me show you the path forward. Let me show you how to get your ass out of this situation. Let me show you a proven path and a proven strategy that will strengthen you during this time, during this crisis. Where somebody will not just fill us full of garbage. So, we're gonna talk a little bit about money. And I gotta go through this pretty quick. Okay, so you have some capital. We call it capital. It's not just money. Money is seed. I can either eat my seed or I can plant that seed. If I plant that seed, I have the potential for an orchard to grow over time. That orchard can produce fruit. That fruit produces more seed. That seed that comes from that fruit can be replanted to expand the orchard. Over time, I can walk out into that orchard and I can admire the orchard, and it's beautiful in and of itself. And anybody that's ever been in an orchard before can know what I'm talking about. You don't have to eat the fruit to get joy and beauty from just being in that environment. But I can also pick some fruit. And I can eat some of that fruit. But at that point, that orchard is healthy, it's producing, and it's already growing. Or I can just eat the seed. I can just freaking eat that seed, that money seed. And if I eat it, it goes to money heaven. That's it. It's gone. I consume it. It's gone forever. This is the difference between the mindset of the wealth builder and the mindset of a consumer, which you've been programmed your entire life, and so have I, to be a consumer. You've been programmed to be a consumer and to be a debt slave. And who I'm talking to right now is those of you who are sick and freaking tired of living out a destiny that you did not choose for yourself, but you were pre-programmed for. And chasing that tip of the iceberg, chasing all those money tips and all that investment tip, and never getting the strategy, never getting the master strategy, never embracing the mindset that has to be embraced. Okay, so let's play around with this. Let's say you have some capital, right? Now there's a totally different formula on how you build this capital. Okay, but this is more of a higher level formula. So this is how you divide your money. So you get all these people right now, all over the place. I get questions all the time. Hans, should I do, is now a good time to buy gold? Is now a good time to do this? What about this? What do you think on this? I can tell by the questions that are asked. When the questions are asked, I know. I know based off of the question. They're asking an investment tip. They want an investment tip. I can tell the difference within 3 seconds, whether it's an investment tip or a wealth building strategy type of question. An investment tip, you might get some wins. You're not going to build wealth from that. You might get lucky. A wealth building strategy, you can build wealth. You can survive chaos. So, first, number one, is your tier one capital. Tier one capital. This is your cash and cash-like assets. Okay, what is cash-like assets, Hans? Money market, CDs, liquid. Stuff that's liquid. Stuff you can get at very easily. Stuff that does not have a lot of volatility. Quote, safe. There's no such thing as safe. Okay? But there's stuff that has less volatility and stuff that is more liquid. Okay? I'm going to explain to you right now why the market crashed starting 4 weeks ago and the big crash 3 weeks ago, and now it's on its way back up. I've already talked about this on the other videos that we've done, and you should go back and you should listen to those videos. Okay? So this also includes chaos hedges. Okay? What are chaos hedges? Insurance policies, physical precious metals, might be some other things too. Any of you that are preppers who are all winning big right now, right? I mean, anybody that's been into the prepper scene for some time gets to be a real hero right now, and good for you. What True Wealth Formula is it is a system that will allow you to zig and zag. It will allow you to be both on one side and the other side. Because our minds are terrible at it. What our mind wants to do is our mind either wants to be all positive or we go way to the other side and we be all negative. The mind has a very difficult time holding two positions at the same time, two seemingly opposing beliefs or positions at the same time. How do you prep for the end of the world and chaos and still have growth and gains and win while the markets are going up? You know, there are guys out there right now that for 40 years they've been predicting this crash. For 40 years. You know? They've been predicting the end of the world. And it happens sometimes. As I've said in the prior videos, we're definitely in a 100-year event right now. And the repercussions from this are far beyond just this, what you're seeing right now. The economic implications, the geopolitical implications, the loss of freedoms and liberties. But do you have control over that? What do you have control over? What do you have the ability to influence in your life right now, today? Because that's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is what is your action item today? What is your action item today? So, Tier 1 capital is priority number 1. You built these based off of the priority. And I'm going to tell you in a moment why most people fail at how they manage their money and how they invest. Okay? This also, what we call this in True Wealth Formula, and what the wealthy call this, what this is here, is called dry powder. It's called dry powder. When you go to a conventional financial planner, what they tell you, or you listen to the guy on the radio giving you advice, what they tell you is this is your emergency fund. In TWF, when you use TWF correctly, you get to a point where you don't need an emergency fund, and I'm going to explain why in just a second. Your Tier 1 is your dry powder. And I'll explain that in a second too. Okay? So Tier 2, this is your second priority. Cash flow assets. Okay? What are cash flow assets? An established business that's kicking out profits, dividend paying stocks, a rental property that's paying rents, although a lot of people aren't paying their rents right now. There is no such thing as any asset type that is absolutely immune to an event in this type of a cycle. Everything's going to get hit. The question is how resilient is it? That's the question. And how dependent are you on somebody else to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing with your money? Or what you should and shouldn't be doing with where it goes and when you should buy and when you should sell. Okay? This could be dividend stocks that have been held for a long time. It could be a lot of things. There's a specific type of assets that meet this criteria. And this is what the wealthy focus on. They build a base of cash flow assets, first and foremost. They use non-discretionary, rules-based system. This is one of them. Okay? We're not getting into all the formulas and all that kind of stuff. We're just laying out the concept. Okay? And then they speculate strategically. And that's Tier 3. Your Tier 3 are your speculations. That's your Tier 3. And you build this in order of priority. What most people, they rely on certified advisors, certified financial product salespeople, people who are selling financial products. If you can't identify the underlying asset, you are buying a financial product. Period. End of story. If you look and you don't understand what is the underlying asset, how does that asset work? What are its strengths and weaknesses in different environments? The whole financial industry is based off of pitching people speculations. How do we define speculations? If you are, and this is how you've been taught and what I was taught and everybody's been taught, buy low, sell high. That is a speculation because you have no control over the price of the market. Every market booms and busts. Every single market. Real estate booms and busts. Stock market booms and busts. Precious metals booms and busts. Bonds booms and busts. Currencies go through boom and busts. Commodities boom and busts. You can pick any type of asset across businesses, boom and bust. Across the board, everything booms and busts. And what the elite know how to do is they know how to use those cycles to their advantage. They use the boom and bust cycles to their advantage while the masses, the middle class, private business owners, small business owners are taking it in the backside, like what's going on right now. So if you have capital, you have to understand the priority. When you build a base of cash flow assets, you will always have cash. You always have dry powder. And when you use rules-based systems, you can speculate strategically. And those rules will have you enter a market and exit a market when that environment changes and put you in position to profit off of those boom and bust cycles where you do not get destroyed. I know people, as simple as this is, I know guys that have made millions and millions and millions of dollars, real estate, stock market, whatever, okay? While the market's booming, market environment changes, it busts, they go broke, lose everything. You want to know why? Because they were actually speculating. Prime example, I know a guy in the last big boom bust in 08. At one point, they did 1,500 real estate transactions in a year and a half. In 18 months, 1,500 real estate transactions. They were buying and selling and doing deals and doing everything, millions and millions and millions of dollars. At the end, they thought it could never end. They did not have situational awareness. They did not understand how to allocate capital and how to manage risk. They were just riding the wave. Just like a lot of people, maybe you know some people that have ridden the wave in this cycle. They thought, this ain't gonna change, it's gonna keep going. Market changed. One domino fell, the next domino fell, the next domino fell. When it was all said and done, they went from 1,500 real estate transactions in 18 months. They went from millions and millions and millions of dollars at the end of when it was done, when those dominoes started falling, when it was done, he was walking, he went to his wife, he had to ask his wife to give the wedding ring to him because the bankruptcy trustee was liquidating every single thing they owned to cover the liability, to cover the debt, to pay the notes off. Imagine that. We know somebody else that made millions and millions of dollars years ago in the real estate market. They ended up allocating everything into one particular thing because why? When you are in a rising market, a market that is booming, there's a saying in investing that says everybody's a genius in a raging bull market. What does that mean? That means that if you made money in a rising market, it's probably not because you were smart. What really matters is, because these markets, at a minimum, about, if you notice, about every 10 years, it's 2020 right now. The last big bust we had was in 08, bottomed out in 09. So about every 10 years, you have these big boom bust sequences. What matters is how do you do during those busts? Does your wealth building system allow you to actually make money when things crash? As simple as this looks, and again, this is the formula, the actual ratios and the formulas aren't in here, and there's one before this, and then there's some other ones on top of that. What we've done is we've built a system that has a layering effect. You do step one, you get that in place, then you do step two, you get that in place, then you do step three, you get that in place, step four, you get that in place. And now you have this system. It's like having a car. When you get in your car every single day, or your truck or whatever, you don't think. And when you were a kid, when you were 14, 15, 16 years old and you were learning to drive, you were freaking out, man. You're going down the freeway and you're like, ah! You know? And you were scaring the hell out of your parents or your grandparents or whoever it was. And you were trying to think, okay, what do I do? Do I shift this? Do I turn? Oh, I got to turn this blinker. I remember when I was learning how to fly an airplane. I sold my plane a few years ago. And you want to talk about freaking out, man? When I was having to learn how to fly that plane, all this stuff, the multitasking you got to do, you got to sit there, you got to fly the plane, you got to communicate with ATC, you got to watch gauges and interpret gauges, make engine adjustments. You have a notepad where you're doing your flight planning, you're tracking your path, you're doing all this. I mean, you're thinking, you're having to think in your mind. You have to be what's called ahead of the airplane. You don't want to get behind the airplane. Now, if you're flying on 172, no big deal, man. You're just kind of sitting there, you know, cruising around. The faster, the more high performance the plane, you got to stay ahead of the airplane. What that means is you got to be thinking. You have to be thinking several steps ahead, and you're doing all this crazy multitasking. You know, but the more hours you get, and the more experience you get to the point where you're just doing it. Just like you drive your car or your truck or your vehicle today. You just get in it, you turn the key, and you go. You don't even think. You don't have to think. But when you were a kid and you had to first do it, you had to sit there and you had to go, oh God, okay, what is this? Do I do this? Oh yeah. Oh, I got to put that seatbelt on. Okay, am I backing up? Oh my God, how do I back up? And which mirror should I focus on? And how do I, you know, and you back up, and do I turn right or do I turn left when I back up? And oh God, I hope I don't hit something. And then okay, now I got to put it in forward, and I got to go, and right. You had to consciously think about everything you were doing. Now today, you don't think, you just do it. In other words, the vehicle's already there. You just get in and drive. That's what True Wealth Formula is. It's a vehicle. In the beginning, you learn it. You have to make that investment. You have to learn. You got to reprogram your brain. You got to understand these ratios and these rules and these formulas. And all we did is we just said, okay, living in a world that is just massive chaos and complexity and information overload, where every Tom, Dick, and Harry is giving out some kind of financial advice and investment this and investment that and do this and do that. Like that's like chaos. How do we take that chaos and bring order and structure to it? How do we bring methodology to it? And how do we take that chaos and put ourselves in the position to be the master instead of the slave of it? Because if I'm always having to basically be on the tail end of it, then I'm in the slave relationship. I'm not in the master relationship. So this system right here, your speculations, you ride markets while they're doing good. You position things. You have your base of cash flow assets that cover your monthly needs. And you have dry powder. And the dry powder, and that's the priority of it. The dry powder is what you need right now. So this video has gone a little bit long. And you should go to... At a minimum, the book is going to be out on the 21st. So what is that? Less than 2 weeks now. And there's going to be a special. Don't pre-order it. There's going to be a special when it hits, where you can get it cheaper. Obviously, we want to try to get reviews and get as good, get whatever best we can on it. Get that message out there. I've been working on this project, the book anyway, for years, and I was like, man, I got to just get this thing out. This is crazy. Here we are, we're in another cycle and it's blowing up. And by the way, if you've listened to the prior videos, I think we're at the front end of this. We are at the front end of this. the government and the Fed are gonna, and I said this in the prior videos, they're throwing the kitchen sink at it. And there's only two outcomes out of that. One, if they fail, they're trying to stop a deflationary vortex from happening. Because it's not just our economy. You're talking about the global economy has come to a screeching halt. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, do you think that the powers that be can actually underwrite all the businesses, all the employees, all the homeowners, and all of that, underwrite that part of the economy, and how long can they carry that out for? There's a real problem right now. I just saw a report, farmers are having trouble. They want to pay people $15 an hour to be able to basically help them harvest. And they can't get anybody to do it because people are making more money on unemployment for the next 4 months, right? Making more money on unemployment. So now you created, because of these stupid, idiotic policies. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be help for people, but now they've got a policy in place that is decentivizing people from working when there is opportunity available, because we're a culture of soft, weak, entitled freaking idiots. And now you're creating a supply chain problem with the food system. Okay, so we're only on the front end of this, and you might think, well, Hans, I got more important things right now than this stuff right here. No, you don't. Yes, you do. You do. Your health, your family, and those things. But you need to learn this stuff. You need to learn this system. Okay. So I'm going to end by giving you what I think is the opportunity that will be the biggest opportunity coming out of this. Okay. And to do that, to take advantage of this. Okay. So let me just preface it by this. Okay, we have right now. So it just came out that a third, 33% of apartment renters, people who live in apartments, 33% of them didn't pay their rent in April. Okay, 33%. Now a portion of those could have paid, but there's already been a signal out there that said, "Hey, don't pay. It's okay," right? And so you say, well, God, that's good. People are hurting right now. They're out of work. Well, what about the guy who busted his ass for years and, he's got his overhead. He owns that apartment building and he has his overhead. He's got his mortgage, taxes, and insurance and maintenance costs, right? So this is the craziness of this whole thing. So what I'm telling you is I think that, I'll tell you here in a little bit. So you have, so this is the cycle. This is what I'm going to give you what I call a WTF cycle, right? Okay. So you have the government told businesses to stop, to shut down, because we have this coronavirus. Businesses laid off their employees because no revenue, overheads are down, got to cut costs, right? So the employees here are going to basically your land. Let's just call these landlords. Okay, so that's going to affect your landlords, meaning your homeowners and the people, right? That they're renting from. Okay, and then the landlords. So the employees are going to say, "Hey, I can't pay my rent." The landlord's going to be like, "Crap, what do I do?" Landlord's going to go to the banks. And they're going to say, "Hey, I can't pay my mortgage. Coronavirus." And then the banks are going to go to the Fed, the government. Okay? And they're going to say they're going to get their money from the government. So this is a big what the F circle right here. Right? I mean, how long do you think this can go on? You're putting a lot of faith in a government system. By the way, the feds, who in 2018 were trying to raise the interest rates because they said the economy is so strong we can raise interest rates now. And then at the end of 2018, the freaking market crashed. And then they did an immediate 180. And in all of 2019, they lowered interest rates and they said, no, the market's not strong enough. Okay, these are these experts. Okay. Federal government, who said, our economy's great, everything's fine, you don't have to worry about it, it's just the flu, 4 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden saying, stay home, don't go out, social distance, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So these are the smart people that you are going to listen to and put your trust in. This is the same system, by the way. If you're that type of person where you think there's going to be a cavalry to come save you and rescue you and bail you out, now if you're part of the elite and you're part of the big businesses, you're part of these CEOs that are part of these Fortune 500 companies that get their bailouts and pay themselves stock options and all that, then you're good. You're good to go. But if you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or part of the middle class, you're going to take it up the... Okay? So that's a W2F freaking cycle right there. Okay? So and then it's the taxpayers paying this. So where's all that money coming from? Oh, well, it's just being printed, Hans. Yes, you're right. It's just being printed. And they're going to throw the kitchen sink at it, and they're doing that. They're going to try to... No, printed? No, it's just digital. It's a ledger entry is all it is. Okay? So the biggest, I think, if I was to put... And this is a conversation I had with my friend. I'm going to leave you with this. And you can go to truewealthformula.com/special offer, and you can get signed up as in part of our True Wealth Formula implementation program. It's an implementation program. It gives you the system, it gives you the videos, the training, the worksheets, the PDFs. We have the app, we have calculators in the app. I'm going to do another video sometime talking about these calculators. They're insane. If you learn how to use these calculators that we've developed, these are proprietary calculators that teach you how to use these formulas and these systems. And if you learn how to use these calculators, you will literally be able to answer 9 out of 10 financial questions that you've ever had in your life. And you will then, when you go and you sit down with an expert or an advisor, whoever it is, okay, because I'm not saying there's no place for those people, especially when you're talking about tax and things like that. But what I'm saying is that nobody's going to do for you what you aren't willing to do for yourself. You have to be in the driver's seat. You have to know the difference between different types of assets and the purpose of money and the difference between eating your seed and planting your seed. You have to understand your temperament, your personality, what you're good at, what you're not good at, right? And then you can take advice from people and you can weigh that advice and know, is this good advice or not? Right? Should I do this or not? If I take this advice and I do this, do I understand what I am doing? What is my system to manage this information? Okay? So these people who are fixing this system right now, by the way, they're the same people who were so good when you remember Hurricane Katrina? Remember when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans? And you remember the people that were waiting to be rescued? Right? Same thing, okay? I'm not saying there's not good people in the system, well-meaning people, that there aren't people on the front lines of this thing that are doing their absolute best, that are trying to help people, especially in the medical community, military across the board. There are good people. But at the top of our systems, these institutional bureaucracies are a cluster fest of political correctness, okay? As far as efficiency goes, okay? So you can put trust in that, or you can prepare yourself. And you can prepare yourself by what I talked about in this video and the 3 videos before. What I think is the biggest opportunity, and this is a conversation I had with a very close friend. Now, I will be happy to be totally wrong about this. No problem. This is an idea, a speculation. No guarantees it'll be right. But I told him flat out, I said, Chris, if I was asked right now today to put up $1,000 and to bet one thing or another, here's what I would bet. I would bet, and this is what I've been telling especially young people, because they're all asking, they've been wanting for years to get involved in real estate and do stuff like that. And my friend Chris had done some real estate stuff before, so we were happy to be talking about this. And I've shared this with close clients, and I'm going to share this with you right now. I believe personally that the opportunities that you will see in the real estate market about a year from now, give or take a little bit, are going to be huge. And I would be willing to put money on. Now, again, I'll be happy to be wrong on this. There's no such thing as being right all the time. True Wealth Formula is not a system where we try to be right, where we tell you do this, do that, right? That's not TWF. TWF is a system to teach you how to do your own fishing, to teach you how to do your own thinking. It's not a system that's going to give you fish. You can find thousands of those out there, okay? So I'll be happy to be wrong on this, no big deal. But if I was to put money on it, my bet today is that a year from now in real estate, depends on the markets and such, right? There's going to be huge opportunity. The amount of defaults that are going to happen, the amount of foreclosures that are going to happen, the amount of bankruptcies that are going to happen, right? Now, there is a possibility, there's some miracle possibility, there is a possibility. In TWF, we like to talk about the difference between possible and probable. There is a possibility that this cluster fest of a system right now, that all the they just talked about another 2 trillion or 4 trillion today, right? They're going to throw so much money at this thing. Guys, we are at the beginning. What they're trying to do, they're trying to stop a global depression. That's what they're trying to stop. You need to understand the real probability and the risks of where we're sitting right now. And the opportunity is to be going into that and or making the adjustments and the corrections that you got to do necessary as quickly as possible to be in a position of strength while it's happening, to survive that chaos. And this sounds terrible, but this is an old investing truism that you want to be able to buy when there's blood in the streets. What does that mean? What it means is when there's a lot of pain in the financial markets, whatever, it doesn't matter, real estate, stocks, whatever, right? When there's pain and capitulation and people are just trying to sell it for anything they can get. That's the time when you build massive, massive wealth. So if you missed the opportunity to make money on the crash, on the initial thing way down, the best thing you could be doing right now, as I've said in the prior videos, is cutting expenses, cutting overheads, and this is the advice that I'm giving close friends and family members as well as close clients. Stack cash. You want to build your tier 1 capital. You want to build your tier 1 capital ratios. You want to protect your cash flows. So if you have an existing business, make those adjustments that you got to make. You got to protect those cash flows, and you build that tier 1 capital. And and again, I could be totally wrong, but if it's me, I'm betting that a year from today that there is going to be, at a minimum better than today, opportunity in real estate. And you could find a potential situation if this doesn't work. So this comes down to, are you gonna bet that this, now if this does work, you're gonna see massive inflation. So if it works, and the timing of this is tricky, but if it works, so what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop deflation. They're trying to stop the whole system from getting sucked into a black hole. Okay, and they're throwing everything in it. Okay, if it doesn't work, then you're gonna have this. I think there's another. I don't think that. I think if you study bear markets and you study history, I don't think we need to test the bottoms. We need to basically, this thing's got further to go. There's so many legs to this. It's not even funny. Our country's in a very, 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 very threatened place right now. If you're positioning yourself, you build that tier 1 capital. You cut overheads and expenses, and you wait. You wait for that moment, a year from now or whatever, to where that opportunity is there in the markets, and you can come in and you can get good deals, and you can be that person. So TWF sets you up beforehand, and if you weren't set up beforehand, you get in now, you learn, you start to learn to drive the vehicle. You get the vehicle built and you drive the vehicle and you get yourself positioned. And you be that person that has that capital that can step in when that pain is there. Or you take the other side of the bet. If you want to take the other side of the bet and you want to speculate, you say, no, this system, this little gimmick that they got going on right now, this little thing, I'm betting that that's going to work. And you think the worst is already here and everything's going to be fine and we're going to find a cure in a couple weeks and we're just going to get lucky, And you're free to do that, and TWF lets you take that side of the bet as well. It's a system to prepare you to be able to take. You can even take both sides. which is what I do. I take both sides because I don't think I'm going to be right. There's no way. I do not manage my money based on being right. 100% I'm going to be wrong. So I position money using TWF to be right even when I'm wrong. So that's more than enough for today. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it helped you. I pray that you and your family are doing well. And you can share this video. Please feel free to share it with whoever you want on Facebook. We'll leave it up for a while. And if you haven't gone over to TrueWealthFormula.com, at least get on that page. You can get, we have a free report you can download, and it will teach you some of this stuff. But I would say that if you've listened this long on the video, and if you've listened to the other videos, and if you are not an active TWF implementation subscriber, we do it through an annual subscription. It's like 83 cents a day. It's less than the price of a really terrible cup of coffee. If you're this far into this video and you're not an active subscriber, I'm asking you why. What are you thinking? Oh, Hans, money's hard right now. What do you think's going to change? Right? Like, what's going to change in here and in your systems to position you so that when things like this happen, because they do happen, my friend, this is life. They have never not happened. What are you going to do so that when things like this happen, you are positioned to be in a place and a position of strength? Not a position where you're indestructible and you can't fall and can't make a mistake, but a position of strength, not weakness. So other than that, TrueWealthFormula.com/special offer. And if you get yourself registered and get yourself signed up as a subscriber, we're going to be doing next week, Friday, every month with our subscribers, we do a Q&A, an open Q&A. We have a private membership group, and then you get access to all of the course content in our Wealth Builder app. You can actually download the app, wealthbuilder.io. You can go and download the Wealth Builder app. But you're going to want to have an active True Wealth Formula implementation program subscription at TrueWealthFormula.com/special offer. Thanks, guys. Hope you had fun here today. God bless you. Stay safe. And let's make sure that you're in a position that's radically different coming out of this, guys. Whether this is just going to be another 2 weeks, or whether it's going to be 2 years, or however long it is, let's make sure that you're doing everything possible to position you and your family to be able to thrive and survive this situation that's going on. Thanks. God bless.